Hi guys, and welcome to another Bootstrap 4 video. This is Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to create this section here that's got a nice image background, but when we hover over it, it's going to reveal the content within, just like that. And that's a nice little effect. We just did it recently with a WordPress theme, and I thought it'd be nice to do a similar thing with Bootstrap. So let's get started. I'm going to open my Brackets text editor. Brackets is absolutely free. If you want to download it and use it to follow along, you can do so from a link below this video. So I'm going to create a new Bootstrap template, and this is a plugin or an addition. If you look at File, Extension Manager, if you just put Bootstrap in the search, all these extensions that I use are absolutely free. And this one's just called Bootstrap Template. So if you just put Bootstrap in your search, here we go, Bootstrap starter template. I think this is the one. Oh, this is the one I'm using because the other one hasn't got an install. Absolutely free, and it'll install it automatically or give you a zip file that you just drag up to there if you want to use this, but that's what I'm using. Okay, let's close this out. So here's my new Bootstrap starter template. Just to show you what it is, I'm going to save it. Now I've created a folder, as you can see, with this image in it, just the one image we're going to use for the demo today, and I'm going to save this as index.html. Save. Now if I bring this up, double click on it, it should open up in your browser of choice. This is what the starter template gives us, so I'm going to build below this section here. Okay, first thing I want to do is go down to where I want to start building, which is below this bit of text here. I'm going to create a section, and inside the section I'm going to create a div. Section is going to have our image in it. This div I'm going to create now is going to have our colored backgrounds. Div. And inside there I'm going to create a container to house our cards. So I'm going to drop down one more. Div. And this I'll give a class of container. Great. Now this is within this div is where we're going to put our cards. Now for expediency, I'm going to go over to Get Bootstrap, and I'll put this link below also, getbootstrap.com. I'll put this whole link in there and it'll take you straight down to the cards. It's got some card demos right here. I'm going to simply copy this bit of HTML that they've kindly given us here. Control C to copy back to my brackets, and I'm going to put it in between my container there. Let's just tidy this up. Okay, that's fine. Right, our first section, I want to give it a class so I can put an image behind it. So we'll say class equals, and I think I'll call it something like image hover. So imhov for image hover. Now the second div, just under the section there, I want to give it a class too, because we want to make it changing colors in the background. So I'll give it a class of, let's say, red background or redbg. Our container can stay just like it is, and so can our card deck. So let's save this and see what we've got, and we can start styling. So Control S to save. Let's go back to the website, which is right here. I'll get rid of that one, save confusion, and refresh. And as you can see, not very interesting. We've got some cards, there's no images or anything like that, and there's that text. I think we might want to give that a bit of margin at the top to give that a bit more space. So let's go in and start with our section. Let's go back to our bracket software. Let's start targeting the imhov. So up the top here, under the default style, which is place your style sheet here, I'm going to start some on-page style. So I'm going to open some style tags. And in between these two is where we're going to put our style. Okay, we call that section imhov. So I want to say dot, because it's a class, imhov. And open and close some curly brackets. And in here, we're going to put the styles that we want to use with this today. So first thing I wanted to do was make a bit of space at the top to give that writing. It was too far down on our cards. So I'm going to say margin, top, and we'll try, well, let's give it 100 pixels. Keep it simple. 100, not 10. And let's save that. Go back to our site. And this should give us more of a gap between that little section above and the cards themselves. There we go, that's great. Okay, the next thing I want to do is give that section that image background, the image that I've got saved in my folder here, and it's just called top one. It's a JPEG. So let's go down one more. Let's put in our background image. So we'll say background slash image, or dash image I should say, colon, and we want it to be a URL. It's actually prompted us down here, so let's just put that in. And inside, it's already found my image, which is called top one, because it's in the root folder, the same place as our index. So it's already found that for us. Let's put a semicolon on the end. And if we save that and look now, we should now have an image in the background of our section. There it is, but all you can see is a sort of grainy bit of sky. So we've got to tell it to cover the background and perhaps move the position of it. So let's go back to our brackets. And we'll go down one more, and we'll say background size, dash size, and we want it to cover the whole thing. So we'll say cover, semicolon. Always put a semicolon at the end so it can read the next line of text. If you don't, it won't. And I think position wise, we probably want to center it, because if we look at this image, I don't know if you'll see it very well. If I click on it and open it in a thing, if I leave it now, we'll just have the sky, because by default it's going to be top. I think if I put it in the center, it'll be more of an interesting picture. So let's do that. So I'm simply going to say background position, center, semicolon. Save that, take a look. That's great. It's got the buildings in the background, but sort of we want to give our cards a lot more space. We'll do that with the next section. And of course we want to decorate our cards. So that's coming along now. Okay, so our section is pretty much complete there. We may want to change a few things around in a little while, but that'll do for the time being. So let's go on down, and our little row beneath that was called redbg. So let's start styling that, or I should say the div that's below that, which is a full width div right there. It's called redbg, dot because it's a class. Open and close some curlies. Now the first thing I want to do to that is, if we looked at our site, I want to give it some space top and bottom, so those cards have got some room between the top and bottom. So let's give it sort of some padding, and we'll say, well, again, let's keep it fairly simple, 100 pixels, that'll be top and bottom. And we'll say 20 pixels left and right. Not that we really need much left and right. Semicolon. Save that. And refresh. Okay, that didn't work. Let's debug and find out why it didn't work. That's all spelt correctly and in the right position. Let's go down. Okay, here's the class. I put it outside, the name outside of my inverted commas there, so it will not work. With coding, you need to put things in the right places. Let's save that and take another look. There we go, that's more what I wanted. Sorry, that happens when I'm talking and coding at the same time. Okay, next thing I want to do, I want to give this a red background. And that's simple. Background. Red. Save, and that's now going to cover up that image that we had there. So if I refresh now, it's just going to be a red background. There we go, that's fine. Right, let's start styling those cards. The first thing I want to do is put an image in at the top, and when we copy that code over, here's our cards. This is where we put the image. Card body, image top, source, and all I need to do is put a T in there and it should find that one as it's, like I say, in the same folder or the root folder. There it is, top one. Do the same for the next one and for the last one here. Okay, so that's all in there, and I think if we see that, we'll have our images in there. But I kind of want all my text inside there centered too. So if we put that, there's our images in there. But I want my text centered. That's very easy to do. Here's our card deck right here. I just need to give it a class after the card deck of text-center. Save that. Great. Now we've got everything that we need here. Now let's make the magic happen. And then what we want to do, so when I hover over this, I want it to slowly change from red to blue, perhaps take 2 or even 3 seconds. And if you do a long transition like that, it has sort of blues and purples in between the 2 color changes, which I think is quite good. But I don't want it to be here at all initially. So I want it to be invisible initially. So let's do first things first. Let's make it disappear. So let's go back here. And where's our red background? There we are, there's red background. To make it disappear, I'm going to say opacity or see-throughness 0, which means invisible. Opacity of 1 is fully visible. And just to prove that, I'm going to copy this. And to create the hover effect, just put a closing curly on the end there. To create the hover effect, right after the G of BG, you want to put a colon and then no space, really important, you put no space, hover, to create the hover effect. And let's say background blue. Now, if I leave it like that, we won't see it because it's still invisible. So I need to put opacity fully visible. So that would be opacity 1. Okay, let's save that. And now when I hover over it, it should not be there initially, but when I hover over, we should see it. Let's refresh. As you can see, we've just got our background there. When I hover over, boom, there it is, and it's blue in color. But I want this to happen a lot slower, an awful lot slower, because that's happening almost instantaneously. So let's make it a gradual fade. And to do that, not on the hover, but on the regular, I need to put in what they call a transition duration. So it's transition. There it is right there, transition duration. And I'm going to give it something silly like 3 seconds, 3s for seconds, semicolon. And that may be way too much for you, but it's going to work for me. So let's save this, and this should pretty much do it. We should have completed our task here. We refresh. Now when we hover over, as you can see, it fades in nicely there. Like I said, that may be a bit too slow for you, but I kind of like the gradient colors in between, the sort of purples, bluey purples and things that happen before the blue. That's quite nice. I'm going to change it back to 2 seconds or something, or whatever works for you. Control S, back to the site, fresh, and that's doing it in 2 seconds there. So there you have it. That's how to create a section to content reveal on hover using Bootstrap 4. Really easy to do. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please ring the bell, give it a thumbs up, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.